Okay, hi everyone. So I hope you are enjoying so far working from home and you're not getting too lonely. And I'm really excited to be here for our first video lesson. So we did start last week looking at sequences, but we didn't really go into it too much. So if you're one of those people who was at home last week anyway, don't stress, you're pretty much starting from the start anyway, okay? So you don't really have too much to catch up on. If you were there last week, there might be a little bit of repetition, but I think it'll be good for you guys to do a bit of extra work on this anyway, because like I said, we didn't do a big explanation in class. So the way this is going to work is pretty much the same as it would in class. So we'll do a bit of content. There's a worksheet for you to do. So on this table that I'm making at the moment, you would have got this in your email and on Firefly. You'll see that it has YouTube video 1, that's what we're doing at the moment. And then once you've finished that, I would like you to go on to this, finding the next term worksheet. And there's the link for it there. So you should be able to access that link. If you can't, let me know straight away and I'll send it to you directly via email. Okay, there's also going to be a little bit of prep today, and I'd like that to be due in by Friday, please. Now, to do the prep, probably best if you've got a printer and a scanner, print it, scan it, and put it on Firefly. You'll see on Firefly, there's a button that says add a file. You would have done it before, I think, in some of your other classes, but put it back on there and I'll mark it and send it back to you. If you don't have a printer, then just write out the questions on paper, make sure it's nice and neat. If you can take a photo on your phone or use a scanning app on your phone, and then likewise add it up to Firefly and then I can check it for you. Okay, awesome. You'll also notice as here, there's some questions, there's some things that are compulsory, some things that are optional. So if you want to do the optional things, I will look at it, I will check it for you, that's all completely fine, but they are for you to do maybe if you're bored or you want a bit of extra stuff. The compulsory stuff, that's the things that we would do in class, so that you must do and you must send to me so I can check it. Okay, awesome. Alrighty, so we'll head on with today. So as you can see here, we've got your heading, you need to write that in your books, and you have the date, same as normal maths date, 1/3 of 72. If your tracking is 24, and that's when we would normally be doing maths. If it's not, if you're watching this, a couple of days in advance, then you can adjust the maths date if you would like. Now, we are looking at sequences. So the first thing I want you to copy in your books is the heading, the date, and also this definition of a sequence. And the definition of a sequence is a collection or number, or a collection of numbers or objects in a special order. Now, if you're watching this, pause the video, quickly write that stuff down, and then unpause it, and we'll do the next little bit from there. Okay? All right, well, welcome back. So from here, we are going to talk about what a sequence is. So a sequence can be something, can be complicated, or it can be really simple. All right, so an example of a really simple sequence would be one such as... Okay, there you go, odd numbers. Okay, that's an example of a sequence because we have a special order or a special rule for making that sequence, and that's that we're adding 2 to each value. Okay, so we're increasing all of these by 2. Okay, that's our rule. That's our rule for our sequence. In terms of what we actually call each value, sequences, each individual number in a sequence we call a term. Okay, so that number 1, because that's the first value in the sequence, we call that one the first term. Okay, that 7 there, that would be the 4th term because it's the 4th value in the sequence. Okay, so if I told you to find the 6th term in this sequence, you would have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. So that would be your 6th term. Okay. Now, like I said, there are some sequences that have really simple rules, some that are more complicated. So I'll give you an example of one that's more complicated, and that would be 3, 8, 63. At 3,968. Okay, now to make this sequence, what we're doing is we're squaring each value and adding, not adding, Oh, razor didn't come on. There we go. Squaring each value and subtracting 1. Okay, so for example, 3 squared is 9, minus 1 gives you 8. Okay, so that's how we're going from 3 to 8. Then from 8 to 64, you're doing 8 to 63, sorry, 8 squared minus 1 is 64, so that's 63. Then to go from 63 squared minus 1, that's 3,968. Okay, so that's how we're going. So this is still a sequence. You might not look at it and think it's a sequence, because it is a lot more complicated, but it is a sequence because there is a defined pattern. Now, good news is that you guys don't have to find sequences that are this complicated. Okay, for the most part, we're wanting you to do linear sequences, which is where you might be multiplying and then adding or subtracting a number. All right, but in the next lesson, what we are going to do is talk about finding terms, and you do have to use rules that are going to be this complicated to find terms. Okay. Alrighty, what I would like you to do now is jump onto Google Forms on that worksheet that I said before. I'll show it to you again. It's this one here. So find next term. It should only take you maybe 5 or 10 minutes to do. And once you've done that, have a look at the second video and we'll carry on looking at term-to-term rules. Okay. Like I said, any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'd rather hear from you sooner rather than later. And I hope everything's going well at home. Okay, bye.